Hello everyone, my name is Raymond and I'm a game developer and the creator of The Street King and Left Turn Legend. Today, I have some big news. The final update for The Street King will release on August 20th, the 8th anniversary of the game's initial launch. It's a big moment and I'm really thankful for all of my players and supporters along the way. To celebrate this, I'm going to present all of the new cars and features in The Street King Update 4.0 and then take a moment to answer all of your questions about the update, the game's future, and anything else. I've already presented the trailers for this update, but in case you missed it, I'll be showing a recap today as well. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. The Stinger has been completely remade from the ground up. The entire model, custom parts, and textures are all new and don't share anything with the original. With that comes lots of new custom parts as well as a supercharged police variant. Let's see some gameplay of the new Stinger in action. Now that we've seen the new Stinger, let's take a look at the final car that will ever be added to the Street King. The C262T B Sport R is a fast, tail-happy German sports coupe that packs quite a punch. Keen viewers might realize that this car has never appeared in a car vote before. It was a personal choice for the final car. While I know that many may be disappointed to never see their final car in the Street King, I feel like the car list has grown plenty diverse and covers everything that I originally set out to. The new cars are cool, but they're not the focus of this update. For that, I present to you the final trailer.
I'm so happy, 'cause today found my friends are in my head. I'm so ugly, that's okay, 'cause so are you. Book on mirrors, Sunday morning is every day for all I care. And I'm not scared, light my candles in our days, 'cause I found God. Yeah!
All 5 bosses return through exclusive boss car challenges where you'll get to play as them. To unlock these challenges, you'll have to win each boss car by beating them on King difficulty. After doing so, you'll be able to play their car-specific challenges. Let's see 2 examples of these boss car challenges.
vehicle now!
Now that I've shown you everything that Update 4.0 has to offer, I'm going to do a bit of a Q&A session. The Mighty Camaro asks, is support for LTL continuing? I'm not fully decided. I might come back to the game for a few more minor content updates, but I do largely think that the game has achieved what it set out to do already. How far do you think the game could have gone if you had a dev team plus as much time as you wanted? I think that's a really interesting thought experiment. Without constraints on development time and manpower, pretty much all of the biggest complaints about the Street King could have been addressed. Adding more cars and content, lowering the hardware requirements for the game to run smoothly, so on. However, as nice as it is to imagine this, it's unfortunately not realistic. Imagining a team of devs with unlimited time is way easier than actually pulling together a team of people with the right skills and right focus to collaborate. Can you give us a clear ballpark for when the servers are getting shut down? Whoa! To be clear, just so there isn't any panic, I don't plan on shutting down the game servers for multiplayer anytime soon, and I've never said anything about that. 4.0 is the final feature update for the game, but I do still want to keep it alive and playable. I just won't be adding any new content. Person from Thailand asks, will you plan new games? Whether I'll do new games is a tough one. I think I would definitely like to, but my priorities in life have shifted a lot. It largely depends on if I can find enough time. Regardless though, any project I do will have to be a lot smaller and won't really be similar to the Street King. What's your least favorite car in the Street King? Probably the Dorian. It's slow and ugly. It's definitely a cool vibe and nice show car, but in games and real life, I think I enjoy the act of driving more than just looking for pure style. In your free time, what do you do besides driving your Corvette? Outside of cars and driving, I like hitting the gym, running, and playing video games. Kaiser24 Official asks, since it's the final update, what will you do to the game? As I mentioned before, the game will remain playable on the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store, including all achievements, leaderboards, and online multiplayer. However, there won't be any new features. How long does every update take? It depends a lot on the content, but probably on the order of tens to hundreds of hours. Adding a single car, including all of its customizable parts, takes about 20 hours of uninterrupted work, but this can stretch out to months of real time because I have a full-time job as a software developer and other responsibilities too. My games are a hobby and not my top priority in life right now. The next two questions are both about remakes of cars or adding new cars. As I said before, 4.0 will be the final feature update for the Street King, so after this point, no new cars will be added and no existing cars will be remade. ToastyOX3 asks, why will you not make updates for the Street King again? There's two halves to this. First and foremost, I feel like the game is completed and doesn't need any more. There's a full single-player campaign with a variety of side missions, online multiplayer, a large open world, and over 50 playable and customizable cars. I know that there's lots of things that players still want to see, but I don't see those things as absolute necessities the same way that I did previously in development. The second half is that I feel that I've gotten all of the learning and growth that I can from a project like this. I started the Street King over 10 years ago. At the time, I was in middle school and taught myself how to code and make art for this game. I've since graduated middle school, graduated high school, graduated college, got my first full-time long-term job, quit that job in order to get my second full-time long-term job, and then gotten to this point. My priorities and who I am as a person have shifted quite a lot in these past 10 years. The project was initially a fun way to learn about game dev and programming, but I feel like the development flow has gotten pretty rigid to the point where I'm not doing anything super new anymore. I'll learn a lot more 3D modeling my first car than modeling my 51st car. So I was putting a lot of time into something that, while I did enjoy doing it, I wasn't gaining as much as I used to. What was the idea that made you make this low-poly street racing game? It's pretty simple. At the time, there weren't any open-world street racing games on mobile, and graphical expectations on mobile were much lower, so I felt like it was something I could target while learning about game dev. The same sort of game on PC would be too much since people had much higher expectations in terms of visual fidelity, but it worked for mobile at the time. Milo Wildfire asks, can we get the car vote results? Ooh boy, this is an interesting one. Car Vote 1 used a weighted scoring where first choice votes were given the most points and so on. The Tier 1 Japanese sports car option that became the Acrobat one, and the Tier 1 American muscle car that became the 1967 Bullet got second. The rest of the options in order of weighted rank were a remake of the Tier 5 hypercar, in this case the Konung, Tier 4 British supercar, Tier 2 German hatchback, Tier 3 American sports car, and Tier 2 German coupe. The cars that didn't win don't have names, so I unfortunately can't get more specific. Car Vote 2 again used a weighted score. The Tier 4 British supercar that became the GT3 won, followed by the Tier 3 American supercar that became the Le Mans. After that was the Tier 2 Japanese sports sedan, the Tier 3 German supercar, the remake of the Konung, and the Tier 2 German hatchback. Car Vote 3 saw the two V10 supercars, the 4R V10 Premium and the Terremoto, win by a landslide. The Monaco F8 narrowly claimed the third and final spot, and the S26N Beastwar R and the Tornado trailed just behind. This was the first car vote to feature names for the cars. Car Vote 4 had the Rotor 2 GT and MT6 claiming the top spots. The Stallion RSX took third, but wasn't actually added in this update. The rest of the list was the 2017 Le Mans, Stinger MX, Capriccio, 4S RS, Scythe, R101, Sabre, Widowmaker, and Patriot. Car Vote 5 had only one winner, the aforementioned Stallion RSX. The Capriccio followed close behind, but the Patriot Warhead lagged much further. Car Vote 6, the final car vote, had two winners, the Capriccio and the 2017 Le Mans. The losers were the Fortissimo, S26N B-Sport R, 4S RS, Stinger MX, remaking any existing car, R101, Patriot Warhead, Sabre, Fest, Sunrise, Scythe, Widowmaker, and Tornado. These questions had some pretty lengthy responses, so let's go through a lightning round. Will the Street King come to PC or Steam? No, I don't think the target audience lands as well there as it did for mobile. Are there Easter eggs in the Street King? Yes, a lot. Mostly racer names, but also parts of the world for you to discover, and even some of the car selection. I'll let you try to find them all rather than telling you though. What's my favorite type of door? I've never really thought about that. Maybe bedroom doors because it means I get to sleep. Why aren't there garages in each zone of the map to make spawn points closer? I generally felt like the map wasn't large enough to actually warrant that. Would I be opposed to seeing mods that add content? As long as mods aren't blatantly cheating, I would generally turn a blind eye to them. However, I can't give an official vote of support for mods since they aren't really affiliated with me. Will I make the game open source after the final update? No, there's still a lot of code, music, models, and other assets that I would not want to give up my rights to, both for sentimental reasons and because I could still reuse them for future projects. Is it possible for me to do content updates in the future, or is it fixed and final? I wouldn't say it's truly impossible, but I do think it's very unlikely and you shouldn't bank on it. What's my favorite sandwich and what's my favorite game mechanic in the Street King? I like Philly cheesesteaks, and the racer AI was really fun to work on. How is the final boss car faster than even a maxed out player car? It's just that way to make the final boss race a bit more dramatic. What's my favorite car in the Street King? Monaco F8. What does the Street King mean to me? You know, everyone always asks, who is the Street King, but no one ever asks, how is the Street King? In all seriousness, it's a very special project that taught me a huge chunk of what I know today about programming, and it'll always mean a lot to me. What am I going to do after retiring? I'm not retiring, I still have a full-time job. The Street King is just a hobby project that I unfortunately have less and less time for nowadays. Am I going to make a new game after? Hopefully. Is Left Turn Legend still going to be updated? Hopefully. Will there be a sequel to The Street King? Sequel. No. In all seriousness though, I feel like The Street King has taught me everything that a project like it could, so I don't want to do the same thing in my future game dev projects. As I said before, it'll always be a very special project though. I want to give a huge thanks again to all of my players and supporters. Everyone who has supported me along the way, whether it be playing the game, donating on Patreon, watching my videos, or chatting on Discord, has made this all such an amazing experience. Of course, you'll still be able to play the Street King, so this isn't the end of the game as a whole. But I'm still really glad that you were able to accompany me to the end of this particular chapter. Thank you so much for watching, playing, and supporting, and I hope to see you all soon.